I'm Dan Mitchell, also known as G. Dan Mitchell, and this is, I guess this is April 16th in San Jose, California, and I'm here to talk about my adventures with the First Light photographers over the past decade plus. So before I met up with the First Light folks in the backcountry, I only knew really a little bit about the group, and I knew what I did know through Charlie. We were talking, and he said that the original gang was going to be in the Yosemite backcountry, and I thought, you know, I could probably just load up my backpack and my camera and, you know, maybe run into them up there. I told Charlie that I was going to be in the area. Went looking for the group, couldn't find you. I went about my own business, and I had gone up to a nearby lake that's, you know, up in the alpine zone, kind of a very isolated lake. Photographed, came back down into a little valley with a meadow, and I looked down the valley, and here comes this, looks like a backpacker with this gigantic backpack on coming up the valley. And I thought, okay, you know, I like to talk to people in the backcountry. And as the person gets closer, I realize that this is a person whose gigantic, looks like week-long load of backpacking gear is all camera equipment. And that was my, you know, first contact, as it were. I met Keith as he came around one of these lakes, and we stopped for a moment. And I think he had heard that I was in the area, so he sort of knew about me. And he said, "Oh yeah, we're camped at a different lake." So that was my last afternoon of the trip, and I went back to my camp and, you know, did some evening photography and so forth, and thought, okay, on the way out tomorrow, I'll go past that other lake and say hi to everybody. And so I, you know, got up in the morning and had my little, you know, bowl of granola, and I walked down to this other lake, and I walk in, and there is the group's campsite. Everybody was, you know, friendly. We talked for a while, and then I walked out. And then over the next few years, you know, I became more involved with the group. So artistic collaborations among photographers, in my experience, are not really all that common, at least not in the way that First Light has worked together. This is, you know, really unusual. Photographers do get together and photograph and talk about what they're doing and so on, but photography is, for me, is fundamentally an individual pursuit, even when I'm around other photographers. But to have a group that has, over the period of, you know, 2 decades, built a tradition, you know, not only of photography, but of working together and doing it in the backcountry, and, you know, to the point that we can all tell stories about each other from, you know, 15 years ago, is really an unusual thing. And in addition, just the, you know, the sum knowledge and experience of this group of people is exceptional. I'm honestly not aware of anything that is like it that I've seen.
He went to the rocky place, so I'm going to go to the smooth granite polished place. I'm going to find the Ansel picture that he's been seeking all his life.
And there's a cash reward.
Yeah, I've heard people say before, aren't your photographs all going to, you know, essentially be the same subject? Don't you need to go find something new? In my experience, I could stand next to another photographer and we could photograph the same thing at the same time from the same vantage point, and we're going to see it differently. We're going to capture the image at a different moment. We're going to aim the camera a little bit differently. We're going to, you know, focus in on some small element of the scene. So what comes out in the photograph, for me, is not so much the thing you photograph, but the way the photographer saw it. And each of us is going to see these subjects in a unique way, I think, even when we're working literally side by side in the field sometimes. We have a very special, different way of operating. You know, the idea that we typically go out and set up someplace for a week, and we wander around and we just photograph the heck out of that area. It gives us time to discover things that I never would have noticed in the days when I was a backpacker, you know, coming into camp, shooting one night and moving on. And plus, we're always, talking about what we see. So, I think the light up there is going to be really good this evening from what I saw last night. Or, I checked out this lake up here, and there's some beautiful meadowy areas at the end of the lake that would probably be worth checking out. So we sort of amplify each other that way as we work. And, in all honesty, people probably think we're spending all of our time in the backcountry photographing, but we spend a lot of time in the backcountry talking about the place we're in, about the places we've been, about how we think about how we photograph and what we see, and it just really charges up the whole experience of being out there in a very different way. In fact, there's much more benefit to us talking about these things for each of us to do our own work better, and honestly, we love to see one another's work looking great too. So when I'm in the field photographing and I'm trying to decide, what to photograph, in a lot of ways, I sort of think of it as almost like hunting. And, if you know your prey, and in our case, our prey is imagery, and you know the conditions, and you sort of know, where are you likely to find something and when are you likely to find it, you are more likely to have a successful hunt. And so a lot of times I think of myself, I've used the term visual opportunist. I go out and I look. Now, it's not random. I have something general in mind. I might think, well, that lake late in the day on that peninsula, that seems like it would be a place that would be interesting to photograph. But I, most often don't have necessarily a specific photograph in mind. It's sort of an idea about where there could be opportunities, and I'll go look for those. Sometimes I do. Certainly on these trips, I will return to a spot that I visited earlier, because the first time I got up there, it was wonderful, but I thought it showed more potential for a different time of day or a different sort of lighting or something. So I'll, put that on my checklist. Be sure to go back up there at 7 p.m. When the sun is just about to drop over the ridge. But, most of the time it's more opportunistic for me. So even though we're working as a group and we're traveling as a group, I think most of the time we're working individually. So the group time is largely either on the trips into the location or maybe on the trips back out. We often travel as a group, and in the middle of the day when we're around camp. And most people would think of this group mostly in terms of their photography, but the personalities and the stories and the knowledge and the in-jokes and the history and all of that has accumulated over 20 years and more is really quite something. Each person sort of has their backcountry personality, if you will. Mike is going to get you if you let your guard down for a minute. Keith, a combination of kind of watching out for everybody. And then at some point during the trip, off he goes. He's going to go off and find, the perfect shot in some obscure high place that the rest of us won't go to. Karl, I feel sort of centers the group. He's the organizer. We couldn't do this without Karl. And Charlie, let's see, how do we refer to Charlie? Master Yoda? Sort of the the photographic link back to Ansel and just a real sort of presence for all of us. Scott is always off photographing videos with 2 or 3 cameras set up, some doing long exposures that go for hours off who knows where. And I'm always fascinated to find out what he's been doing while the rest of us are out doing our still photography work. Probably the thing that people would least expect to find about this group is how great the non-photographic stuff is. The just hanging out in the middle of the daytime and just talking about somebody's experience in the park, somebody they knew, something about photography that they've thought about and so on. And that's not small stuff. That's really important to what we do. It's something, again, that you only get if you go out with a group of folks and you do it for a long time and you really get to know each other like this. give me just, whoop, after I pull the microphone off my thing here.
I'm going to stop recording.
Okay. You can come in, we're not recording.